The storm and the stranger. The wind howled outside, sharp and angry. Rain hit the metal roof like small hammers. Jack sat by the heater, sipping hot tea, trying to ignore the noise. His small shelter on the edge of the wild zone was strong, but storms on this planet came fast and hit hard. He lived alone. He liked it that way. After working with machines all day, he enjoyed the silence. No one to bother him. No one to take care of. Just him, the wind, and the stars outside his window. But that night, everything changed. A loud crash shook the side of the shelter. Jack jumped to his feet. Something had hit the outside wall. He grabbed a flashlight and opened the door. Wind blasted in, cold and wet. He stepped outside, shining the light through the rain. There, just a few meters away, something was moving. He walked closer and saw a body lying in the mud. Small, thin, and not human. She had glowing blue skin and long silver hair, now wet and tangled. Her arms were wrapped around her chest, her legs were bare, her eyes were closed, but she was still breathing. Barely. Jack looked around. No other footprints, no ship, no sign of where she came from. "Damn it," he muttered. He couldn't leave her there. He picked her up. She was light, almost weightless. Her skin was cold like ice. Her head rested on his shoulder as he carried her inside. Inside, Jack laid her on the old couch near the heater. He covered her with a thick blanket. Her body trembled. Her breathing was fast, like she was scared even in sleep. He didn't know her species. He had seen many aliens in his time, but not like her. Her face was soft. Her ears were long and curved back like horns. Her hands had only 3 fingers, but they were delicate. Jack boiled some water and made soup. He poured it into a cup and brought it near her lips. "Hey," he said softly. "Can you hear me?" Her eyes opened slowly. Bright violet eyes. They looked right into his. She didn't speak, but her lips moved slightly. Jack helped her sit up. She drank the soup, slow and careful, like she hadn't eaten in days. When the cup was empty, she looked at him, then suddenly grabbed his hand. "Safe?" she whispered. Jack blinked. Her voice was quiet, musical, and afraid. "Yes," he said. "You're safe here." She didn't let go of his hand. She closed, her eyes again still holding on, and leaned her head on the side of the couch. He let her rest. He didn't ask questions. Not yet. That night, Jack couldn't sleep. Who was she? Why was she alone in the storm? Why did she seem so scared? He checked her for wounds, just a few small cuts and bruises, nothing deep. But her body temperature was strange. It kept rising and falling. Jack had no med kit for her kind. He had no translator for her language. He didn't even know her name. But when she slept, she looked peaceful, like a child who had finally found warmth after being lost for too long. Hours passed. The storm calmed. Morning light broke through the clouds. Jack stepped outside to check for any sign of others. No tracks, no ship, no messages. It was like she had fallen from the sky. When he came back inside, she was awake, sitting quietly, watching him. "Food?" she asked in her soft voice. Jack smiled. "Yeah, I got food." He brought her more soup and some bread. She ate slowly, her hands shaking. He sat down across from her. "Do you have a name?" She tilted her head, then pointed to herself. "Sorry." "Sorry," Jack repeated. She smiled. Small, unsure smile, but a real one. That night, as he made her a small bed in the corner, she stood by his side, not moving. "You can sleep here," he said. She looked at the bed, then at him. Then, without warning, she walked to his bed and sat down on it. Jack frowned. "No, that's mine. Yours is over there." But she didn't move. Instead, she pulled the blanket over her knees and looked up at him with those big, violet eyes. "Safe," she said again. "With you." Jack sighed. This was going to be harder than he thought. He had taken in a stranger, a lost alien girl in a storm, but he didn't know. She wasn't just lost. She was in mating season, and she had just chosen him. Jack woke up to the sound of humming. At first, he thought it was the wind outside, but when he opened his eyes, he saw her, Sari, sitting cross-legged on the floor, her eyes closed, her body swaying gently side to side. She was humming softly. It wasn't a song, not one he recognized. The sound was strange, but peaceful. It echoed lightly off the metal walls. Jack sat up. "Hey, Sari?" Her eyes opened immediately. Her head turned toward him fast. Her expression was blank at first. Then it softened. Slowly, she smiled. "Morning," she said in her soft voice. Jack nodded. "Yeah. Morning." She got up and walked toward him without hesitation. Before he could say a word, she sat on the edge of his bed and touched his forehead gently with her fingers. "Not sick," she whispered. Jack blinked. "I'm not sick, no, but what are you doing?" She tilted her head, confused. "Check. Health. Ritual." "Ritual?" Jack gently moved her hand away. "I appreciate the gesture, but I don't need checking, all right?" She looked disappointed, but didn't argue. Instead, she stood up, walked to the kitchen corner and began organizing his tools and containers, without asking. Jack watched as she placed his utensils into neat rows. She opened boxes, sniffed herbs, and even licked a dry cube of sugar before putting it back with a small grin. He rubbed his eyes. "Okay, yeah, this is weird." Over the next few hours, Sari acted even stranger. She followed him everywhere. If he went outside to fix the generator, she followed. If he checked the crops in the garden box, she stood close behind. If he went to the bathroom, she waited just outside the door. Jack tried to be patient. "She's just scared," he told himself. Maybe this is how her people act when they trust someone. But then came the moment he couldn't ignore. He was working on a circuit, bored when he felt a gentle tug on his sleeve. He turned and there she was, wearing his shirt. "Sorry?" Jack asked slowly. "Why are you wearing that?" She looked down at the oversized shirt hanging off her shoulders. "Smells like you," she said simply. Jack's jaw tightened. "Yeah, I figured. But that's my shirt." She smiled. "Yes, yours. Now mine." Jack stared at her. "Okay. No. That's not how it works." Sari tilted her head again. "Mate's scent. Calms heart. It is normal." Jack froze. "Mate? Did she just say mate?" "Hold on. No one here is mating with anyone," he said, standing up. Sari stepped closer. "You gave shelter. You gave warmth, food, safety. You are mate." Jack's brain almost short-circuited. No, Sari. That's not how it works. For humans." She blinked. "Then how does it work?" Jack opened his mouth and closed it again. How did he explain relationships, dating, and emotional consent to someone who thought making soup was a marriage proposal? That night, things got even more confusing. Jack made her a bed again in the corner. This time he even added a curtain for privacy. Sari watched quietly and didn't say a word. But when Jack went to sleep and turned off the light, he heard movement. Slow, careful steps. She slipped under his blanket without saying anything. Jack sat up, heart racing. "Sari, what are you doing?" She pressed close to him, wrapping her arm gently over his chest. "I sleep better near mate." "You're not my mate," he said, trying to stay calm. She looked hurt. "You do not want me?" Jack hesitated. Her voice was soft, not angry, just sad. "That's not the point. You're still recovering. You barely speak my language. You don't understand what this means." "I understand," she whispered. "It means you are safe place, heart place." Jack stared at the ceiling. He didn't know what to say. The next morning, she didn't speak much. She cleaned, cooked, and stayed near him like always. But her mood was quieter. Jack decided to ask for help. He sent a message to an alien researcher in the nearby outpost. The reply came back within the hour. If she's from the species I think she is, the message read, you're in serious trouble. During mating season, they form permanent bonds, often mistaking care or kindness as romantic intention. Once chosen, they don't break the bond easily. Jack stared at the message for a long time. She wasn't just strange, she was following. Instincts she couldn't control, and he had accidentally become part of it. That night, Jack stood at the door of his shelter looking at the sky. The stars were bright. He heard her steps behind him. She stood beside him silently for a while. Then she asked, "Are you leaving?" He shook his head. "No, I'm just thinking." She gently touched his arm. "I don't want to hurt. Please, don't push me away." Jack turned and looked at her. Her eyes weren't glowing. Her body wasn't tense. She just looked lost. He didn't answer her. Not yet, because he didn't know what his answer would be. Jack stood by the window staring at the strange stars of the alien sky. He barely touched his food that night. Sari sat across from him at the table, chewing slowly, her eyes fixed on him, not angry, not sad, just quietly watching. He couldn't sleep the night before. Her warmth beside him, her soft breathing. It wasn't that she scared him. No, it was the way she trusted him, like he was something holy, important, chosen. He didn't understand it. Not fully. And that was the problem. The next morning, Jack noticed something strange. Sari had cleaned every surface of the shelter, not just regular cleaning. She had polished the floors, sorted his wires by color, even wiped the windows spotless. But the weirdest part? She had drawn symbols, soft glowing lines, on the inside of the walls, circular shapes, dots, arrows pointing toward his bed. Jack frowned. "What is this?" Sari looked up from where she was kneeling, marking the floor with glowing chalk, from her bag. "Home sign," she said gently. "For bond. For warmth." "Bond," Jack repeated. "What kind of bond?" Sari didn't answer. She just smiled again and continued marking. Jack felt a chill, even though it wasn't cold. Later, Jack walked to his tool bench to start repairs on the drone batteries. When he reached for his gloves, they were gone. "Sari," he called. "Have you seen my gloves?" She came over immediately. "I fixed them," she said proudly. Jack stared at them. She had sewn cloth into the insides. Soft padding, with a little thread design that looked like a heart. "Why would you do this?" Jack asked. "For you," she said. "For hands that build. Hands that protect. They deserve care." He couldn't speak for a moment. She didn't see her actions as strange. To her, this was love. That evening, Jack contacted the alien outpost again. This time, he got a video message from Dr. Velan, a xenobiologist who had studied Sari's species. "She's Terrellan," the doctor said. "Very rare. They're usually reclusive. But during mating season, it's like a switch flips." Jack leaned closer to the screen. "The females are drawn to those who offer shelter, food, and peace. Their brains connect safety with bonding. The markings? Those are nesting signs. She's claiming your shelter as her chosen space." Jack rubbed his temples. "What if I don't want to be her mate?" Velan sighed. "It's difficult. If you reject her now, it could emotionally destroy her. It's not just love. It's biology." Jack ended the call with a deep breath. Walked back into the living space. Sari was sitting by the fire, braiding strands of her silver hair. When she saw him, her face lit up. "I made tea," she said. Jack sat beside her. "Sari, I need to ask something." She tilted her head, listening. "Why me?" he asked. "You don't even know me. I found you in the storm. You were half dead. Now you think I'm yours." Sari looked into his eyes. "Because you didn't walk away." Her words hit him harder than he expected. "You gave me food, warmth, space. I woke up and saw only light in you." Jack looked away. That's not love. To me it is, she said softly. Later that night, Jack tried to sleep. This time he locked the bedroom door. Not to be cruel, but to think. He lay there, staring at the ceiling, trying to process it all. But before long he heard her outside. The door. Not knocking, just sitting. She began to hum again, the same gentle, sad sound from the first morning. Only this time it wasn't peaceful. It sounded lonely. Jack turned over. He couldn't bear it. The next day, Sari was quiet. She didn't follow him. She didn't hum. She didn't draw more signs. She just sat in the corner, holding a blanket he'd given her, breathing slowly, like her body was trying to hide its pain. Jack noticed it all, and it hurt more than he expected. Why does this matter so much to her? He asked himself aloud. No answer came, of course, but he was starting to understand. In the afternoon, Jack took her outside. The storm had cleared days ago, and the sky was a soft purple. He pointed to the garden. These are growing because I care for them. I water them, protect them. But it takes time, Sari. She looked at the plants, then at him. So, you are not ready? I'm not sure, he said honestly. But I don't want to hurt you. She looked down at the dirt and whispered, You already did. Jack knelt beside her. Then help me understand. Teach me. I'll listen. Her eyes brightened slightly. Just a little spark, but it was enough. She took his hand, gently this time. No pressure, just warmth. And that night, for the first time, she slept in the bed she chose for herself. And Jack, alone in his room, felt something new growing in his chest. Not fear, not confusion. Something else. Something he couldn't name yet. But maybe Sari already had. The next morning, Jack heard a soft knock at his front door. He opened it and was surprised to find Dr. Valen standing there in a dust-covered travel coat. The alien scientist looked exhausted, but determined. I had to see her myself, Valen said, stepping inside. Jack closed the door behind him. She's resting. Didn't say much today. She seems quiet. Valen nodded. That means it's getting worse. For her species, silence during mating season is a warning sign. Jack frowned. A warning of what? Valen looked serious. Of heartbreak or collapse. Trellin females build emotional nests in their minds. If that nest is shaken, they lose balance, they shut down. Jack rubbed his neck. I didn't ask for any of this, Valen. I know, but now you're part of it. They walked together into the other room. Sari sat on the floor, arms wrapped around her knees, eyes distant. She didn't react to the sound of footsteps, but when she saw Valen, she blinked. Outsider, she whispered. Valen smiled gently. Hello, Sari. You remember me? She nodded slowly. Old one. Studied my kind. Spoke cold words. Valen knelt beside her. You're in your season, aren't you? She nodded again, barely moving. Jack watched, heart tight in his chest. She's barely eaten today, he said. She won't hum. She won't sleep. It's like her light's gone out. Valen looked up. That's because she bonded fully. To you, Jack. She already made the connection, and now she's unsure if you've accepted it. I haven't rejected her, Jack said quickly. But you haven't accepted her either, Valen replied. Sari suddenly spoke. In dream, I fall. Long fall. You vanish. No light. Jack knelt next to her. You're not falling, Sari. I'm still here. But not with me, she whispered. Her fingers dug into the floor. I feel it. You walk beside me, but not holding my hand. Valen turned to Jack. She's more aware than you think, and she's hurting in silence. Her mind sees rejection even when you stay quiet. Jack looked at her glowing fingers, trembling slightly. He sighed. What do I do? Just say, I'm yours and that fixes everything? No, Velen said. You need to understand her. Velen pulled a small device from his coat. He pressed it and a floating screen appeared in the air. On it, an image of Tyrellan couples danced in soft light. Their bonding ceremony. They don't use rings. They don't use vows. They build nests. Not with sticks, but with moments, shared food, gentle touches, eye contact, and most of all, presence. Jack listened carefully. They don't fall in love like humans, Velen continued. They become love. Slowly. Deeply. And when it happens, it's forever. Jack looked at Sari again. She wasn't asking for romance. She wasn't begging for a kiss or a promise. She just wanted him there. Later that day, Jack made a decision. He cooked a full meal, not just soup. Real food. He placed 2 plates on the table. Sari walked in slowly, curious. Jack pulled a chair out for her. She blinked. For me? He nodded. Yes. They sat down. He didn't speak for a while. Just let the warmth of the room and the smell of the food fill the space. Then he finally said, I don't understand everything about you. I probably never will. But I want to learn. Sari looked at him silent. I want to try, Jack said. Not because I feel forced, because I don't want to see that empty look in your eyes ever again. Her hands trembled. She reached out, slowly, and placed them over his. Try is enough, she said. Try is everything. That night something changed. She didn't sleep beside him. She didn't sneak into his room. Instead, she stayed in her own bed, but hummed softly the entire time. The melody was different, not sad, not scared, hopeful. The next morning, Jack woke to find the walls had new symbols, but this time they weren't glowing in warning. They were glowing with light blue energy, a sign of peace in her language. He didn't erase them. He let them stay. As Velen prepared to leave, he pulled Jack aside. She'll recover now. You gave her what she needed most. Recognition. Jack looked at the walls, then at Sari, gently trimming one of the plants near the door. She's still strange to me, Jack admitted, but less scary now. Velen smiled. You're not her captor, Jack, you're her anchor. You brought her out of the storm. Now, you're the ground she stands on. And deep down, Jack felt something stir. Not a mating bond, not a promise of love, but the start of something steady, something real. And that, maybe, was enough. Jack thought things were finally settling down. Sari smiled more often now. She ate full meals. She kept to her own space at night. Her humming returned, soft and peaceful, like the wind through leaves. Even the symbols she drew on the walls no longer felt like warnings. They looked like art, pieces of her language left as gentle messages for him to see. But peace didn't last long. It started with the visit from the supply runner. A young woman named Kira came to drop off tools and rations. Jack knew her from his first months on the planet. She was chatty and friendly, and she liked to flirt. Nothing serious. But when Kira stepped into the shelter and smiled at Jack, Sari's body tensed. She said nothing. Her eyes followed Kira's every move, and when Kira placed a hand on Jack's shoulder while laughing, just a simple joke, Sari dropped a mug on the floor, shattering it. Jack and Kira turned quickly. Sari said softly, but her voice sounded too cold. Kira raised an eyebrow. She okay? Jack forced a smile. She's protective. After Kira left, the silence inside the shelter felt heavy. Jack sat at the table, rubbing his forehead. Sari, we need to talk. She stood by the window, not facing him. Her hands were clenched at her sides. You were angry, Jack said. I could feel it. She touched you, Sari said, her voice low. She tried to take. She was just being friendly. To her. Not to me, Sari whispered. I see her eyes. I know what she wants. Jack didn't know how to respond. He didn't want to argue. But he also didn't want to feel owned. I'm not something to fight over, sorry. You are not something, she said firmly, turning around. You are everything. That night, the lines blurred again. Jack woke in the middle of the night and saw her silhouette in the doorway of his room. She didn't move. She just stood there quietly. He sat up. Why are you here? I dreamt you left, she whispered. I'm not leaving, Jack said. But you thought about it. Jack paused. He couldn't lie. I did, but I didn't do it. Sari stepped forward slowly. Her eyes shimmered in the darkness. You are free, she said. I never trap. But if you go, my light dies. Jack's throat tightened. He didn't want to hurt her, but this was moving too fast. I need space, Sari. I need to breathe. She nodded slowly, but her expression dimmed like a fading star. The next day, she didn't eat. She didn't draw. She didn't hum. She just sat on the roof of the shelter, staring at the sky. Jack climbed up and sat beside her. For a while, neither of them said anything. Finally, he asked, Why me? There must be others of your kind. I waited, she said quietly. My people told me stories of false bonds, of cruel ones who give food but no care. You gave warmth without asking for anything. Jack looked up. That's just being human. No, she said, eyes locked on his. That's being you. Later, when Jack was outside fixing the antenna, he slipped on loose gravel and scraped his arm. Blood dripped down his elbow. Sari ran to him instantly, her eyes wide, her breathing sharp. Wounded? She asked, gripping his shoulders. It's just a scratch, Jack said. But she pulled him inside anyway. She cleaned the wound gently, her hands shaking. Pain on your skin becomes pain in me, she said. When you hurt, I feel it too. Jack stared at her, finally understanding the depth of her bond. It wasn't obsession. It wasn't control. It was complete connection. To her, he wasn't just someone she liked. He was part of her. That night, she knelt beside his bed, eyes full of questions. May I stay? She asked. Not for body, just for heart. Jack hesitated, then moved over. She climbed in slowly, curling up beside him. For the first time, she didn't cling. She didn't whisper about dreams or fear. She just lay still, breathing with him. And Jack didn't mind. He reached out and gently took her hand. Her fingers squeezed back, warm and trembling. The next morning, Jack woke up to find her already, awake, brushing her hair with one of his old combs. She turned and smiled. You stayed? I said I would, Jack replied. No, she said softly. This time, you meant it. That day, she wore the shirt he'd given her again. But this time, she braided a piece of her silver hair and tied it around the sleeve. A symbol of her people, a quiet vow, and Jack didn't ask her to take it off. The days passed quietly. Sari smiled more now. She helped Jack fix the drones, water the garden, and even started learning human words through his old datapad. She was still strange, but peaceful. Jack was beginning to breathe easier. He thought the worst had passed. He was wrong. It happened. On a warm afternoon, Jack had gone into the forest near the ridge to check on a signal tower. It was only a 30-minute walk, and he left Sari back at the shelter with a radio. I'll be quick, he said. You'll be fine. She nodded, but her hands gripped the edge of the table tightly. You promise? She asked. I promise, Jack said with a smile. He didn't realize those two words meant everything to her. An hour passed. Then two. The sun was already dipping by the time Jack returned. His clothes were dusty, and his hands scraped. But the tower was fixed. When he stepped inside the shelter, the door slammed behind him. He turned and saw Sari standing in the corner, her eyes wild, her hair loose, her breath fast and sharp. You broke promise, she said. Her voice was shaking. I got delayed, Jack explained. The tower's antenna fell. I had to climb. No radio, no sound, no signal, she said louder. You left. You were gone. Jack raised his hands slowly. Sorry. I'm okay. I came back. But she wasn't listening. She paced the room, murmuring in her own language. Her glowing fingers drew red lines on the walls. Not soft blue this time. They pulsed like alarms. Jack stepped forward. Please, just calm down. You were gone, she snapped. The bond cracked. I felt it. Pain here. She pounded her chest. Jack took a slow breath. That pain, it's fear, not betrayal. To me, it is the same, she shouted. Dropped to her knees, covering her ears, shaking. Jack froze. This wasn't anger. This was panic. Her breathing grew louder, rougher. Her skin turned pale. Her body trembled like a dying engine. Jack knelt in front of her. Look at me. I'm here. I'm not leaving. You left, she whispered. So long. Too long. The bond cannot stretch that far. Jack gently cupped her face in both hands. Sorry. Listen. You are safe. I'm not going anywhere. Look in my eyes. She finally looked up, eyes wide, with terror. I thought I would fade, she said. When Tyrellin is alone in mating season, the mind breaks. I was breaking. Jack held her tight, not because he fully understood, but because she needed it. They stayed like that for a long time, her clinging to his chest, silent tears wetting his shirt, and Jack gently stroking her hair. I didn't mean to hurt you, he said softly. I didn't know leaving for a short time would scare you that much. She nodded slowly. Not your fault. It is how I am made. Jack pulled back just enough to see her face. Then let's make rules. Next time I leave, I'll tell you where. I'll call every 30 minutes, okay? She sniffled. You'll call? I promise. She gave a weak smile. Then, I'll try to stay strong. That night, she didn't ask to sleep beside him. She didn't need to. Jack invited her. She curled up close, but this time, her breathing was steady. Thank you, she whispered. For what? Jack asked. For holding the broken parts together. The next morning, the red markings were gone. She had wiped them off before sunrise, and replaced them with soft silver rings and circles. They shimmered like gentle ripples on water. Jack ran his fingers across one. What does this one mean? It means healing, she said. Even broken stars can shine again. Later that day, a message came from the outpost. Dr. Valen wanted to check on them, but Jack replied with only one sentence. She hit the breaking point and survived. As the sun set, Jack and Sari stood outside, watching the clouds shift. She reached for his hand. He let her take it. I still don't know what we are, he said honestly. Sari smiled gently. You are not a mate, not yet. Jack looked at her surprised. I understand better now, she said. Your kind needs time, space, choice. I will wait. You'd wait forever? He asked. I already did, she replied. Jack laughed quietly. Then I guess I can meet you halfway. And for the first time, she leaned her head on his shoulder. Not as a mate, not as a bondmate, not as a promise, but as a person finally understood. The sky was calm. For the first time in weeks, no storm clouds gathered. No warnings flashed from the weather towers. The wind carried the soft scent of blooming vines, and the sun set slow and golden. Inside the shelter, everything was quiet, but not empty. Jack sat at the table cleaning a circuit board with steady hands. Across from him, Sari carefully sorted tiny tools by color and size. She didn't hum. She didn't watch him like before. She worked beside him, with him, as if they had done this 100 times, and in a way, they had. Not this exact task, maybe, but something deeper. Building a bond. One small moment at a time. Later that evening, Sari made dinner. Not soup. Not just bread. She had learned to cook Jack's favorite dish, crispy root cuts with spice dust. She arranged them carefully on the plate and even made a shape with sauce, a spiral, the same symbol she'd drawn weeks ago on his wall, the one for trust. Jack sat down and stared at the plate. "You remembered," he said. "I remember. Everything you like," Sari replied softly. "I listen. I watch. Because you matter." Jack picked up his fork but paused. "Can I ask you something?" Sari nodded. "Do you still see me as a mate?" Sari tilted her head. "Not the same way, not now." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Really?" She smiled. "Now I see you as something stronger." He blinked. "Stronger than a mate?" "Yes. You are a choice now, not just a bond. I don't cling because I need. I stay because I want." Those words lingered in Jack's mind all evening. She had changed. No, they both had. That night, Jack couldn't sleep. Not because of fear or confusion, but because his thoughts felt loud. He walked outside into the quiet starlight, watching the twin moons rise. After a few minutes, he heard her behind him. Sari stepped beside him without a word. She didn't touch him, didn't press close. She just stood there, arms crossed, eyes on the stars. After a while, she whispered, "Do your people have bonding ceremonies?" Jack nodded. "Yeah, rings, vows, kisses, big speeches." She smiled. "We don't do speeches. We sing." "Songs?" Jack asked. She nodded. "Only once in a lifetime, one song from the soul. It is never repeated." There was silence between them for a moment. Then Sari looked at him. "Would you hear mine?" Jack swallowed hard, then nodded. She stepped back, closed her eyes, took a breath, and then she began to sing. No words, just sound, soft, deep, full of light and pain and beauty. It rose and fell like a memory. It sounded like wind through silver trees, like the sound of a heartbeat underwater, like the moment just before tears fall, not of sadness, but release. Jack's chest ached. It wasn't just a song. It was her. Everything she had felt, everything she had held back, everything she had hoped. When she finished, she opened her eyes slowly, as if afraid. Jack didn't speak right away. He walked toward her, gently took both her hands and whispered, "I've never heard anything like that in my life." Her eyes shimmered. "Was that your bond song?" he asked. She shook her head. "No." Jack frowned. She leaned forward and touched her forehead to his. "That was my freedom song," she whispered. "Now I am not tied by fear. I am ready to love." From that moment, something between them changed, but not with words, with comfort, with presence, with quiet moments that didn't need explanations. Jack started calling her partner when talking to others. Sari called him anchor in her tongue, which meant both protector and home. They shared the same bed now, not as a demand, not from need, but from peace. Weeks passed. Then one morning, a message came through the comm. The Planetary Council offered Jack a new post in the central city. High pay, big housing, warm climate, better equipment. He read the offer twice, then turned to Sari, who was tending to the garden with quiet hands. "I got a job offer," Jack said. She looked at him. "Big city?" He nodded. "But it's far, and crowded." She gave him a soft look. "Do you want to go?" He thought for a moment. Looked at the place they had built together, the walls she had marked, the plants they had grown, the bed they now shared. Then he said, "No, this is home." That night, as the stars rose again, Sari brought him something small, a wooden ring carved from the oldest tree near the ridge. She placed it in his palm. "Not a bond," she said, "not a chain, just a reminder that I am here, and I choose to stay." Jack smiled, slid the ring on his finger, and kissed her forehead gently. I choose you too. And on a quiet world, beneath a quiet sky, a human and an alien stood together, no longer strangers, no longer afraid, not by force, not by instinct, but by choice, by something deeper than biology, a bond beyond species.